there, everyone. Happy Thursday to you. One day closer to the weekend, huh? Man, is it going to be fun this weekend. You get to see the Panthers play. Hopefully, they're going to be good. Hopefully, they're going to be good. We got a lot to talk about today. But as always, if you want to be a part of the program, you may call me at 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. You have anything on your mind? We have some news today. Kind of. It is big. It is big news, and it's kind of like half news. You'll see what I mean. It has to do with college football and conference realignment. The rebirth is what we'll call it of the Pac-12. Possibly, maybe. Yet to be seen, but we'll talk about it. Also, Major League Baseball, moving on. Shohei Ohtani, hey, he had a very good game last night. Getting ever so closer to that 40 or to that 50-50 season, I should say. He's already had a 40-40 season in his career. Well, actually, I don't know if he has. Check that. We'll check that. But I do know 6 players. Okay, let's back up here. Shohei Ohtani, he has a 40-40 season right now. I'm not sure if he did it beforehand. We will check on that. But he has a 40-40 season this year so far. He's getting even closer to a 50-50 season. 47 home runs, 48 stolen bases on the year, 3 home runs and 2 steals away from making history. It is without a question that he is the National League MVP this year. And to be honest, with the struggles that Aaron Judge has been having recently, he probably would win league-wide MVP if there was one. You know, we got to split it up, American League, National League. Maybe that changes soon. I feel like the split was more because it was actually 2 separate leagues. And then they started playing each other. And then the rules became the same in both, to where there's a designated hitter in the American League and the National League. So maybe having an American League MVP and a National League MVP isn't a thing anymore. It's not something we should be doing. But hey, tradition. We got to stick with the tradition, right? So Shohei Ohtani definitely going to win the National League MVP this year. I don't even think it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if it was unanimous. I mean, again, that'd be... Jeez. Shohei Ohtani, if you're not watching him play baseball, and I understand he's on the West Coast, little bit late for us here on the East Coast, but if you're not watching Shohei Ohtani play baseball, I feel bad for you. You're missing out. You are. Because he is not, I don't even know if we can call him generational, because he's like more rare than once in a generation. This is like once a century that we're going to see a player like this. Unless, and this could happen, unless Shohei Ohtani is becoming like this more than life figure for baseball players around the world, and they're starting to emulate his game a little bit and say, when they move up the ranks, tell their coaches, no, I play both ways. I play pitch and I hit, and I can play the field. I can do it all. You're not going to sit me down. Maybe. So we'll talk Major League Baseball, give you an update on the standings. Also, we have betting odds now for the Go Bowling at the Glen. Yes, NASCAR Cup Series betting odds. We'll tell you who the favorite is. A reminder, Juan Pablo Montoya is going to be racing this weekend. It's going to be a one-off for him, racing for 2311 Racing, 283 XI, if you will. He will be piloting that car. Montoya's last Cup race was the 2014 Brickyard 400. It's been 10 years. And I think, I don't know. I feel like, okay, so Montoya is not that old in terms of racing age, I feel like. He does look a little older, to be honest with you. Got a little gray in those hairs, but I don't expect Montoya to come up to the Cup Series in a one-off race and do what Shane Van Gisbergen did last year. Now, Montoya's 48 years old. So he's still, like, that is end of career usually. Mid to late 40s for a really good race car driver, I feel like. So he's coming back to NASCAR for a one-off race. He's still going to have the talent, but I think the talent of the rest of the field is going to be much better than it was, 10, 15 years ago when he was racing in the Cup Series. And it really has been over 10 years since we had Juan Pablo Montoya full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Whew. Man, that is something. Also, going on in the world of sports, Thursday Night Football. A reminder to you. This is your reminder. Listen up. If you want to watch Thursday Night Football tonight between the Bills and the Dolphins, you must have Amazon Prime Video. That is the only place that you can watch this game. It is not going to be on your antenna. It is not going to be on DirecTV. It's not going to be on anything except for Amazon Prime. It was like this last year. Friday night, last week, Packers and the Eagles. That was only on Prime. I'm sorry, that one was only on Peacock, not Prime. And we're going to have more games only on Peacock. We had it in the postseason last year where a wild card game was played exclusively on Peacock. We're getting closer and closer to streaming taking over everything that we know. Also, in the world of sports, it looks like Deshaun Watson's finding himself in trouble again. There is more talk about Tyreek Hill and the situation with him last week between getting arrested and the police throwing him on the ground and the video that we've seen a lot of video. Also, Kyle Van Noy called out the Kansas City Chiefs. And I did not know this, but apparently there is a poll that goes around for players to rate the facilities and the coaches and, everything that the NFLPA does. The Chiefs didn't score very well in a specific category of this poll, if you will. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we get into it. But first, we got to get to our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hop right into the world of baseball. Let you know what happened last night, what's coming up. Man, that Mets win was huge for them. They went from being no hit to winning 6-2. We covered it live yesterday as it was happening. Final push for those playoffs. 17 days to go in the season. And only a few seconds left in this segment. So I'm going to say goodbye, hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll get into Major League Baseball. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
The clouds continue to thicken up as we work through the rest of our Thursday evening, especially once we get into the overnight hours with a sprinkle or a stray shower possible. We'll fall down into the low and mid-60s in the overnight hours for our Friday. It's a mostly cloudy day. Not to say there couldn't be a few peaks of sun here and there, but do bank on the occasional shower from time to time and scattered showers possible heading into our Saturday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The app with Lake Norman deals. The WSIC app is out now, wherever you get your apps.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville presents Fortune 5 in concert on Thursday, September 12th. Fortune 5 won the Battle of the Bands this past spring and now makes their debut on the Langtree stage. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with music powered by Waves Entertainment starting at 7. Grab your friends, family, and lawn chairs. Enjoy the shopping and dining options while at Langtree. Don't miss the music of Fortune 5 this Thursday at Langtree Live. This Friday is the next edition of the Piedmont Healthcare Friday After 5 concert series. Downtown Statesville offers free entertainment to residents, neighbors, and visitors. This week's concert features the Camel City Yacht Club, 5 musicians devoted to bringing the finest smooth rock of the 70s and 80s to you. Friday After 5 is held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of Mitchell Community College from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Beer, wine, soft drinks, and food will be available for purchase beginning at 5 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy a night of music this Friday in downtown Statesville. The WSIC gang is back at Micaiah's in Mooresville for Trivia Night Tuesday, September 17th. Grab your squad, form your team, or come play solo. And join WSIC on-air personalities as we gather for a fun game of trivia. We'll see you September 17th at Micaiah's in Mooresville. The NHRA returns to ZMAX Dragway September 20th through the 22nd for the Carolina Nationals. When the temperature cools down, the excitement heats up at the Bellagio of drag strips. Every ticket is a pit pass, giving fans unmatched access to the drivers and crews who power the NHRA's thunderous 11,000 horsepower machines to their limits. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC. News. Talk. Now.
The number one station for people who say we're their favorite station.
WSIC.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Sorry about that. Running back in here. Segment 2 of the Scoreboard. I'll tell you what, the Major League Baseball season has really been interesting. We've been talking about mediocrity a lot. Early in the year, if you think back, April, May, even June, we were talking about the National League. We had 3 teams, at times 4, pull away from the field, while the rest of the National League stood right around 500. Everybody was really hovering there with no movement one way or another, right? And we covered that. We talked about how mediocrity was the word of the day. It still feels like that's the word to use when you look at this year's overall standings. The best team in baseball right now has won 88 games, 58 losses. In the final 17 days of the season, if they lose more than 4 games, we will not have a team that has a record including 100 wins. That has not happened since 2014. I feel like a lot of sports right now are having stats like that where everything's falling back into this mediocrity where nobody is really dominating. It happens every now and then. Hence why it's the first time since 2014. It's been 10 years since that's happened. You look at the NFL. The NFL had one of the worst offensive showings in week 1 in the past 15 years. I think it was 3rd worst week 1 in terms of passing yards by quarterbacks, points scored. It wasn't good. And I think that has to do with people not playing in the preseason personally. That's just me. But you're seeing this in sports where nobody's really pulling away and dominating anybody. I mean, kind of I can't even say. The NBA was different this year. The Celtics really kind of took control, and we knew it's the Celtics year. They were far and away the best team in basketball. That I feel like is more rare than anything now. Yeah, you can win a few championships in a certain year span if you have a good core. We see that, though. What we don't see is one team going out and just absolutely dominating the regular season anymore. And you can see that in these MLB standings. The Phillies have 88 wins, 68 losses. Dodgers are right behind them, 87 wins and 59 losses. But then behind them, everybody else in the league already has at least 62 losses. You have the Chicago White Sox who have 114 losses. They've only won 33 games this year. On pace to have one of the worst records in history. It already feels like they have one of the worst records in history. That is a bad year. I am sorry if you're a Chicago White Sox fan. But looking into these wild card standings, last night there was a big game between the Mets and the Blue Jays and the Braves and the Nationals. The Mets and the Blue Jays, man. The Mets were getting no hit through 8 innings. And then to lead off the inning, the top of the 9th, who else but Francisco Lindor comes up to the plate, hits a home run, starts the top of the 9th rally. They tie the game at 1. The Mets then go on to score 6 in the top of the 9th. The Blue Jays only counter with 1 in the bottom of the inning. Mets win 6-2. Then you look at what happened to the Braves last night. The Braves game started after we got off air here, and the Braves really never had a shot in this one. Gave up 2 early in the 3rd, a few more through 5, and final score 5-1 Nationals. Currently, that puts the Mets in as the final wild card in the National League and knocks the Braves to 1 game out. We've seen the Mets over the past few weeks really, really start to hit their groove. They are one of the hottest teams in baseball. I don't think they're the hottest team in baseball right now. The Phillies have really turned it around over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. But those Mets, man, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs at this point. You have a team that hot? Anything can happen when you get to playoff baseball. Look, the World Series last year was between the Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Mets get hot mid-late September and make a run, because we've seen it happen. Only a few days left in the baseball season. Let's go through the standings real quick. Not the wild cards, the regular standings. Yankees up to a 1.5 over the Orioles. Kansas City falls 4.5 behind Cleveland. The Mariners, man, poor Mariners. They stay stagnant at 4 games behind the Astros. In the National League, you have the Phillies 8 games over the Mets now. We talked about it. The Mets have that final wild card spot. The Brewers, really not any question that, even though they've been struggling lately, they're going to win the NL Central. Nobody's really putting a fight on there. No team is really all that hot. And in the NL West, the Dodgers up to 5 games. Remember, that was down to 2 games at one point. The Dodgers only had a 2-game lead over the Diamondbacks and the Padres. I was rooting for the Dodgers to fall apart, and then all of a sudden they get some players back. Everybody's starting to get healthy, and, well, this Dodgers team is playing the way we expected them to, in my opinion. We knew that this team was going to be hard to beat. We knew it. And now, well, we're getting close to playoffs. They're really going to start to show their hand on how good they are. In the wild card races, the Minnesota Twins hold a 3.5 game lead over the Detroit Tigers for the final spot in the American League. The Orioles, the Royals, and the Twins have those 3 wild card spots. Diamondbacks, Padres, and now the Mets in the National League. That one's closer throughout, top to bottom, in the race for the wild card. I'd say you really got to go down to San Francisco. The Cardinals at 6 back, they could get there if they get hot, but we're down to 17 days in the season. If you're going to turn it around, you got to turn it around tonight. And the Cardinals, they don't play tonight, so maybe not literally, but it's time to go. The Cubs 5 games back, it's time to go. Braves sit at 1 game back. Everybody else, I'm calling them out of the race here. Especially there's some bad teams in baseball this year, man. I'll tell you what. But it's still been a good baseball year, in my opinion. Still tracking, we talked about Shohei Ohtani, 47 home runs, 48 stolen bases. Aaron Judge still stuck on 51 home runs. His OPS has dropped to 1.140. Batting average is down to 320. Remember, he was up almost at 340 not all that long ago. Still on track to lead the leagues in home run and RBIs. Bobby Witt has dropped to 333 in his average, but Judge now third in batting average. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. batting 321, just .001 in front of Judge. Triple Crown race possibly falling out of Aaron Judge's grasp. It doesn't seem like he's going to get that batting average up unless, he could get, this is all today, this is today talk. Tonight, luck can change. Aaron Judge could go 4 for 4, and here we go. Aaron Judge is hot again. He hit 2 home runs today. It can happen like that. So every day we'll give you the update on the MLB standings until we get to the playoffs, which is right around the corner. October 1st, man. MLB playoffs are here. Then your sports schedule is really going to be every single day. It's going to be something. You're going to have the NFL. You're going to have NCAA football. You're going to have high schools on Fridays, which we'll talk about some high school sports tomorrow. Possibly have someone in studio maybe next week to talk some high school sports with us. And, you're going to get to October. And the weather's going to get colder. Leaves are going to be on the ground. Just going to be in front of that TV almost every night, watching sports, baseball, football, soccer playoffs, MLS. We can't forget about Charlotte FC. Charlotte FC has a really good chance to make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs. Maybe we'll talk a little Charlotte FC towards the end of the program today. Right now, we do have to go to our next commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk news, and we're going to start with the NCAA. Possible rebirth of the Pac-12? Question mark? We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we'll be back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
The clouds continue to thicken up as we work through the rest of our Thursday evening, especially once we get into the overnight hours with a sprinkle or stray shower possible. We'll fall down into the low and mid-60s in the overnight hours for our Friday. It's a mostly cloudy day. Not to say there couldn't be a few peaks of sun here and there, but do bank on the occasional shower from time to time and scattered showers possible heading into our Saturday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
We're at Black Automotive. The Buick Encore GX is now at a low 0.9% for 36 months or a $3,000 rebate. Or the Buick Envista is also 0.9% for 36 months. And there's more here at Black Automotive Statesville.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
My name is Ashley. I just redid the lighting in my home, and the customer experience at Desco was second to none.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to TillyHD.com.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. G-O-L-D, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Tom Brady holds the NFL record for most passing yards in the Super Bowl. He threw for 505 yards in Super Bowl 52, yet his team still lost the game. So ultimately, what good was an elite individual accomplishment if he lost in the end? This is an insightful parallel to our life here on earth. How many people are caught up in selfish gain, worldly pleasures, and individual accomplishments? However, when their time comes to an end, what does it matter? What is it really worth it? In the book of Mark, Jesus asks, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? Each of us must make a decision to either pursue all that's in the world or surrender our lives to Jesus. Today, let's not settle for a nice stat line that won't matter in the end, but choose instead to receive the ultimate prize in Jesus. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Amazon is going to put more than $2 billion into beefing up things like safety training and pay for contract delivery firms. Amazon says it expects the money to raise the average pay for drivers to nearly $22 an hour. The work rules for medical residents have changed, so they are generally limited now to 80 hours a week over a 4-week period. The big banks are starting to get on board now. J.P. Morgan Chase will limit junior banker hours to 80 per week in most cases. Bank of America is launching a new platform to more closely monitor individual workloads. There have been complaints across the industry banks were pushing weekly hours beyond 100. And Baseball Hall of Famer Derek Jeter is getting into fashion. He's partnered with the creator of Untuck It to create an athletic clothing line called Greatness Wins. On Wall Street, wins across the averages of more than 0.5 to 1%, with the Dow up 235, the Nasdaq 174, the S&P 42. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. 844 Studio 4 is the phone number. If you want to chat with me here on the air, give me a call. We'll have a good time. We're going to get into some news today. In this segment, we're going to get into some news, I should say. We're going to have some fun. This is interesting. This news that broke today is, wow. Just wait. I'm going to keep you on edge for a little bit, okay? I am. Make you wait. Just when we thought the Pac-12 was dead, they're back. Maybe. Possibly. They're trying. Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State will all join the Pac-12 in the 2026-2027 academic year. Yes, you heard me correctly. There are 4 schools heading to the Pac-12 in 2 years. Is the Pac-12 dead? Maybe. Maybe not. It may be back. Okay, there's a lot to digest with this. So first of all, we all remember what happened with the poaching of the teams from the Pac-12. And now only Oregon State and Washington State were able to remain in the Pac-12, right? Now, when that happened, there was a small loophole. I don't know if I want to call it a loophole, but they spelled it out at the very back end of the legal documents for all these teams to leave and for Oregon State and Washington State to get control of the conference. They spelled it out that those 2 schools could attempt to rebuild the Pac-12 if they wanted. And it was supposed to be a long shot. That we thought, Oregon State, Washington State, they're going to find new conferences. And the Pac-12 will be no more. Because the NCAA requires at least 8 teams in a conference for it to be considered a conference. Well, obviously the Pac-12 has 2, but they were granted a 2-year grace period to where they can go find another conference or, like they put in the legal documents, rebuild the conference. So now they get 4 schools. All of them coming from the Mountain West, which currently has 12 schools. So that leaves 8 in the Mountain West, which means the Mountain West will still exist in 2026, 2027, but that's as of right now. Who knows? Maybe the entire Mountain West just migrates to the Pac-12 and we no longer have a Mountain West conference. Who knows? Really, anything is on the table here. Anything at all. So who else could the Pac-12, and I'm looking at some reporting on this, some pretty good reporting on this actually, after this broke late last night, early this morning. That West Coast news, man. Why you got to drop it so late? 9:30 on the West Coast, 12:30 here. It's likely that the Pac-12 is going to target Cal and Stanford. And you might be thinking, huh? What? Didn't they literally just leave the conference to go to the ACC? Yeah, but if the financials are better and it's easier on your school, travel, Cal, Stanford, they got to travel a long way to play these East Coast games. Why not go back to the Pac-12? Right? They're receiving only 30% share of the league's media right distribution over the next 7 seasons. So that's a possibility. Tulane and Memphis are also some possibilities. UTSA, University Texas San Antonio, and UNLV. Now, UNLV is part of the Mountain West. This is what college football is now. It's a mess all the time. And we're getting closer, and we're getting closer, and we're getting closer to there being 2 conferences. Although I never saw the rebuilding of the Pac-12 coming. I really didn't. I thought the Pac-12 was done. I am a little surprised to see that Oregon State and Washington State were able to find members who wanted to come. Because, get this, they still have to find 2 more to be a conference. This year, next year is the last year that it'll just be Oregon State and Washington State, they got 2 years. So if they can't find 2 more teams, Pac-12 isn't going to exist. And I don't know, I guess all those state schools, maybe the Pac-12 should just target schools with state. Because as of right now, in 2026-27, they're going to have Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Oregon State, and Washington State. That's all the state schools. Just get them all. Get them all into one conference. Why not, right? This is going to be a big story over the next few years, man. And I know we've been saying it's going to be a big story. It has been. Look at where college football is right now. And I wonder if the Pac-12 gets rebuilt properly and there are enough teams and they can play a conference championship and they can have a conference champion. I wonder if the College Football Playoff Committee reverts back to what the original playoff format was going to be, which was 5 Power 5 schools that win conference championships, right? Because it would be, now you have the Big 10, Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, and the Pac-12 would be back. Those are your Power 5 conferences. So the conference winners from all of those, and then one other conference winner who is the next highest ranked, being the wild card team. And then it's the next team in the rankings. You just go down the list until you have your 12. I wonder if that's a thought here, or if they're going to say, you know what, we're going to leave it. We like it how it is, where it's just the top 5 highest ranked conference champions. You know, who knows? In a crazy world, 5 years from now, it could be that there isn't a Big 10 school, or a Big 12, I'll say, that there isn't a Big 12 school in the playoffs because their conference champion isn't ranked well. It's a possibility with the way that the rules are now. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Obviously, that's a long shot, but it is possible with the way the college football playoff is working now. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts over this on the next few years. This year, though, next year, the Pac-12 is just going to be Oregon State, Washington State. We don't have to worry about this until a few years down the line, okay? But this is happening. Keep it in the back of your mind that the Pac-12 could come back. It's also not official that it will because, well, they need 8. And right now, they have 6 for the 2026-2027 season. We'll continue to update you on this story as it comes through. Also, I wanted to talk about this NFLPA issue with Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy suffered a fractured orbital bone, and apparently it took over a whole quarter of football, for a doctor to come see him at the Chiefs facility. This is a Ravens linebacker, by the way. Can't happen. Medical, you can't have that. We'll talk a little bit about the complaint. Then we'll get into a little NASCAR news. We'll talk about the NFL game coming up this weekend. We'll see what happened on this day in sports history. And we'll send you into the night. Stay tuned. We got one segment to go on this Thursday. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we'll be back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
The clouds continue to thicken up as we work through the rest of our Thursday evening, especially once we get into the overnight hours with a sprinkle or a stray shower possible. We'll fall down into the low and mid-60s in the overnight hours for our Friday. It's a mostly cloudy day. Not to say there couldn't be a few peaks of sun here and there, but do bank on the occasional shower from time to time, and scattered showers possible heading into our Saturday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville presents Fortune 5 in concert on Thursday, September 12th. Fortune 5 won the Battle of the Bands this past spring and now makes their debut on the Langtree stage. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with music powered by Waves Entertainment starting at 7. Grab your friends, family, and lawn chairs. Enjoy the shopping and dining options while at Langtree. Don't miss the music of Fortune 5 this Thursday at Langtree Live. This Friday is the next edition of the Piedmont Healthcare Friday After 5 concert series. Downtown Statesville offers free entertainment to residents, neighbors, and visitors. This week's concert features the Camel City Yacht Club, 5 musicians devoted to bringing the finest smooth rock of the 70s and 80s to you. Friday After 5 is held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of Mitchell Community College from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Beer, wine, soft drinks, and food will be available for purchase beginning at 5 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy a night of music this Friday in downtown Statesville. The WSIC gang is back at Micaiah's in Mooresville for Trivia Night Tuesday, September 17th. Grab your squad, form your team, or come play solo and join WSIC on-air personalities as we gather for a fun game of trivia. We'll see you September 17th at Micaiah's in Mooresville. The NHRA returns to ZMAX Dragway September 20th through the 22nd for the Carolina Nationals. When the temperature cools down, the excitement heats up at the Bellagio of drag strips. Every ticket is a pit pass, giving fans unmatched access to the drivers and crews who power the NHRA's thunderous 11,000 horsepower machines to their limits. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
Have your say.
Trusting the government to fix anything is a joke.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome, everyone. You are listening to the Scoreboard. You're here hanging out with me, chatting about the world of sports. Yes, it is a wonderful world that we live in with all the sports we get to talk about. We were talking NCAA earlier. Man, Pac-12 possibly getting rebuilt. What a mess the college football scene is right now. Apparently, the Kansas City Chiefs training staff is also a mess right now. I didn't really talk all that much about this. There were other important things that we wanted to talk about on the Scoreboard, but after the Thursday night football game, Kyle Van Noy ripped the Chiefs for what he called unprofessional treatment of an eye injury that he suffered in Thursday night's game. Apparently, it was a fractured orbital bone, which is a serious injury. Don't get me wrong. And but he's not going to be playing for a few weeks, by the way. The NFLPA now, Associate Executive Director Lloyd Howell has said that it is unacceptable and unfortunate. If this is true, and I have no reason to believe that it isn't, that it took over a quarter for the medical staff to go look at Kyle Van Noy's orbital bone, I'm not surprised that the Kansas City Chiefs in a recent player poll received an F for their training staff and facilities. Yes, an F. They failed. Man, for a team that only knows how to win Super Bowls recently, they got to get a better training staff, it seems. So there is no surprise there. I think this is going to end up being a nothing story because well, what else are you going to do, you know? The NFL is not going to fine the Chiefs, are they? No. Have you heard anything about the NFL fining the Chiefs? The NFLPA did an investigation, though, and they said they, quote, "We've made the necessary parties aware of how we've got to improve, and I'm sure we will approve." Improve, not approve. So, the Chiefs, man, I didn't expect that. Interesting story there. A couple other things going on in the world of sports. Texas has been pretty hot in college football lately. Recruited the number 1 safety, Zealous Hicks, for their 2026 recruiting class. They get the number 1 recruit. Man, Texas is going to have some team here. I don't know if I'm falling victim of the hype and the early September hype, but Texas is going to be hard to beat this year. I could see them making a run at least to the semifinals in the championship, and in the college football playoffs, I should say. The semifinals, maybe even go play for a national title. One other thing that we want to make sure that we're keeping you updated on is the NASCAR Cup Series. Quick reminder, this Sunday, race 2, round 1, Watkins Glen. Joey Logano won last week. He's clinched his way through to round number 2. Didn't see that coming. Not many people did, considering the only reason he's in the playoffs, like a lot of drivers, though, is because he has a win. You get a win in a crazy Nashville race, and that's all it takes, I guess. Now, Joey Logano, one of the hottest drivers in the sport right now, he's had some really good results as of late. He has. Maybe he hasn't gotten the result every week, but the car is running up front more often, and I feel like I'm seeing him more often. And I said this year early, if you remember when we were talking to MRN, and we said, I believe it was Jeff Striegel who we were talking about. We said, yeah, the Fords might get it done this year. They changed the car up a little bit, and it was a struggle in the first part of the year. Don't get me wrong. They were off the pace for a little bit. But recently, especially Penske, they've been picking it up. Look, that 2-car Austin Cindric was out front for a long time. He got a lot of stage points at Atlanta. Surprising stuff from those Fords, but they've been running well as of late. So you can't really say that they're, long shots for the championship. It's Penske. Ryan Blaney's the defending champion. Watkins Glen this weekend, going to be a fun time. The current betting leader, now this is according to DraftKings, by the way. I always got to make you know. It's changed from the last time I looked. Last time I looked, Kyle Larson was the favorite. As of today is Thursday, Shane Van Gisbergen and Kyle Larson are your co-favorites to win the Go Bowling at the Glen. Ah, man. Does Colleague have a car good enough for the Cup Series to compete at Watkins Glen? High-speed road course. You need the horsepower. You need a good car to be competitive there. Maybe they're factoring in the latest news that broke of a new tire compound that NASCAR is unveiling for Watkins Glen, where we are expecting 3 seconds of fall off from the start to the end of a run. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be running fast and then all of a sudden you'll be 3 seconds slower. No, gradually, over the course of a run, one lap you might be 1/10 slower. Then the next lap you might be 2/10 slower. 3 seconds is a lot of time. New and old tires at Watkins Glen being important and being on new tires at the right time being important is going to make this race a lot of fun. I just hope that it does as intended. Every now and then when we get a new tire compound like this, things don't go as planned. The soft and prime tire at Richmond, though, they pulled that off. They did. And it was a success, in my opinion. You saw Daniel Suarez drive from the mid-20s, take the lead, And then he started falling off. He did, because the tires were gone, those prime tires or whatever they call them. So I'm going to call them soft and hard. Just bear with me. The hard tires started catching the softer tire because, well, all the pace is gone from those softer tires. So we've seen a new tire compound work, but we are very used to NASCAR not having that work when them in Goodyear say, let's introduce a new tire to this race. Surprising they do it during a playoff race as well. Just something to keep in mind if all goes bad during Watkins Glen. Just some things to keep in mind. Shane Van Gisbergen and Kyle Larson, your co-favorites. William Byron, Tyler Reddick tied for second, and then Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5. Interesting numbers here. Denny Hamlin, who barely finishes out of the top 5 anymore at Watkins Glen, plus 1,800 for the win. Little long shot right there, but that's not a bad look. Joey Logano, last week's winner, plus 3,500. Not the best road course racer that we have on the circuit. As we get to the end of the program today, we are going to do what we do every single day and talk about some things that happened on this day in sports history. Here's one that caught my eye. 1930. Now, I'm going to preface this. In 1931, any ball that left a Major League Baseball field, even if it bounced 15 times, any ball, any fair ball that leaves the stadium is considered a home run. Okay? It could roll, it could hit a rock, kick over the wall. It's a home run. In 1931, the ground rule double was introduced. So on this day, in 1930, Brooklyn catcher Al Lopez hit the Major League's last recorded bounce home run. If he would have done it next year, it would have been a ground rule double. But because he had played in 1930, that's a good trivia question right there. Who was the last person to hit a bounce home run in Major League Baseball? Well, it's the catcher for Brooklyn, Al Lopez. Some other things that happened on this day in history. Ralph Boston, American long jumper, set the then world record at 27 feet, 4 1/4 inches, if I can talk. Also, on this day, where'd it go there? Dwight Gooden, New York Met pitcher, set the rookie strikeout record with his 251st strikeout of the season. And let's see, we got one more for you. We got time for one more. 1993, Paul Molitor, 37 years old, is the oldest player to reach 100 RBIs for the first time in their career. That's something right there. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Scoreboard today. Always love chatting with you guys. Tomorrow's going to be a fun one. We get to preview a lot of high school football. The weekend. We got an NFL game tonight. Didn't really talk about that all that much. Bills and Dolphins, 7 o'clock, only on Amazon Prime. Have a great night, everyone. I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you then.
Serving you better than ever before.